Hi everyone, Janelle here. I'm a functional nutritionist, doctor of natural medicine, and creator of the Empowered Midlife Method. This is my podcast where we talk about midlife wellness in the mountains. I am on a mission to help women not only feel better and age their best, but also to help women understand their unique body, to take ownership in their health, to awaken their hormone wisdom, and step into their power around growing older. Today's episode is all about a medicine we don't often hear about. It's about using the wild as medicine in midlife to come into a deeper and more honest expression of ourselves. My guest is Nicole Jefferson. Nicole is a somatic therapist and the founder of Wilding Therapy in Colorado, where she helps women reconnect with their bodies, their emotions, and the natural world as a pathway to healing. Nicole guides women out of the constraints of modern life and back into a more embodied, intuitive, and free version of themselves. I loved this discussion with her, and yes, we howl at the end. Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Nicole. Thank you so much for being here.
For having me.
I have been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time because it feels like such an important topic, and it definitely doesn't get enough attention, if you ask me. And in my work, I often talk about the confluence of science and soul. It's really what fires me up. And I feel like the wild and nature is this perfect confluence of science and soul. It just brings everything together. So I can't wait to jump into our chat together. You mentioned previously to me that you consider Mother Nature as your first therapist. I loved that. It really resonated. I am just super curious kind of to hear more about that. How'd you get to that, Mother Nature being your first therapist?
Yeah, I think when I made the connection, I probably didn't really have language for it because probably like a lot of women, we didn't like really grow up maybe knowing how we feel in our bodies or even working somatically of like, what do I even notice? Is it okay? Is this a safe space? All of these like circular things that like we don't even really have language for when we're young. But I remember I was going through a pretty big life transition in like 2017 and I found myself just like wanting to escape to the mountains again. So I'd pack my dog Gunner and we would just go solo on these trips. And I remember being back there and being just so calm and also feeling this new space of regulation, I guess you would call it, when I was immersed in the backcountry, away from the noise, away from the stress, away from like the transition that I was working with that was consuming my brain and the rumination and everything like that. And I remember I was in Crested Butte, which is I used to live in Gunnison, and I took my dog Gunner and I took my clothes off and I got in Emerald Lake. And I just remember feeling this like sense of almost relief of, and I remember hearing this voice and I was like, "You're welcome here to come as you are." And that's when I realized, even in my own therapy with people, is when I'm in the natural world, it's like, I sometimes talk to her, but it was more of this relationship that didn't even need words. It's probably how, when there wasn't language yet, Indigenous people already felt in relationship with the natural world. They didn't need language because they could feel it in their bodies. And so it was there that I started realizing the partnership with the natural world. And like, I wanted to learn more. And then I started therapy. And then I started rummaging around of like, what is this relationship with the natural world? Because she is like a living being. And I think in our world, we have disconnected from that so much that when I'm immersed with her, she allows me to feel whatever I'm feeling. I've yelled, I've thrown rocks, I've sprinted naked. She's just such a beautiful container and she's ever changing just like us. And I remember hearing this voice when I was back there. "You're welcome here." Yeah,
Oh, I just warms my heart.
I know.
I can picture it all, and I have felt that way in nature, and it's hard to describe in
Yes.
words. We were speaking earlier about this topic and how it feels a little overwhelming because what you just explained, I love the visualizations of it all because I could really feel it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
You feel alive.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you said it's a safe space. It's a container. You felt relief. Come as you are. You are welcome
Mm.
here. I mean, those are just really big, big open arms. And
Yes.
yeah.
I do also want to name that I know not for everyone, the natural world is a safe place, but I know there's opportunities for healing there. But for me personally, and with a lot of clients that I work with, the natural world does allow us to come as we are, and there is no judgment. And for me, as a woman, it sort of unlocks this wildness in us that I think has been suppressed for a very, very, very long time. It's also rooted in a system that maybe we don't need to unpack, but it's the patriarchal system of like,
Mhm.
this is how you need to be, like the whole saying of you need to just sit there and look pretty. Don't be too much. Don't be too little. I love the scene in Barbie. Don't do this and don't do that. Right. But when we go in the natural world, our wildness is welcomed and encouraged.
And so many things in the wellness space right now feels like a to-do list. Do you do this? Did you do this? Did you eat that? Did you take your supplements? Did you move your body? Did you lift your weight? It's this intensely stressful to-do list. I mean, if things are important, but I just want to point out that everything you just mentioned, it just happens.
It just happened.
When we put ourselves into the wild, it just happens.
Yes.
That
Yes.
wild feminine that it just unleashes. I feel it.
Yes. And I'd be so curious what you feel like.
Well, first of all, I love, again, your stories, and I feel like we were together
I
in your
know.
story you just told. I was with you. But the times I feel most alive and connected in this world, when I am on the river and in the canyon, I feel connected to myself. I don't have to be anything. I don't have to do anything. I just am. And I'm barefoot and I like to play in the mud and I love the sunshine on my face. And I talk to the wild too. I say things like, thank you.
Yes.
Or I yell at things when I'm mad. I yell at a rock or I ask a tree for advice. I love science, but I'm just compelled to connect in nature and just let go and show up and be. And it feels so good. And maybe we could right away talk about how these big days in the wild are so helpful, but even just some smaller ways to connect to the wild that can be helpful. Because the first thing that comes up for me, and then I want to hear all your ideas, is a fire. Even lighting a candle in the morning
Yes.
invokes that feeling of wild for me and peace.
Yes. Yes. And also, what a great way to start your morning.
Yeah, it just feels good. And it takes what? Under a minute,
Yes.
right? To get the matches and a candle. And if they're at the table already, it takes 10 seconds.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. My clients would tell you this is that I'm also really big into herbalism. Our plants have so much wisdom. It also comes back to the natural world, but even bringing, if that feels good to you, an herbalism practice into your home, and that becomes a part of your morning or evening ritual. But also, if you live in an urban area, it's even walking outside and just orienting of like, where do I even notice the natural world in this urban environment? It's, oh my gosh, there's a dandelion popping up through the concrete, and even just getting curious about that. Or even going and touching a tree. And if it's safe, like I encourage people to even fox walk, which is to take your shoes off and walk barefoot. And then to take it a step further, what do you notice when you close your eyes and you walk barefoot? What are ways that you can connect with the natural world, even in like micro moments? The micro moment can also help you experience maybe even a second of awe.
Mm,
It's really hot outside, but the grass feels really cool. And even noticing what comes up in your body.
mhm.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be complicated.
it does not have to be
It could be
complicated.
simple. Even noticing the sunshine on your face.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That is such a cool thing. And we were talking earlier about one amazing thing is skinny dipping.
Yes, yes. Talk about tapping into your wildness. Yes, it's noticing when you strip off your clothes, whether you're with your friends or you're with your dog, or and just feeling if you're in an alpine lake of just I feel so free and stripped down in the best way. I feel exhilaration. There's not
Mhm.
many other moments in life where you feel that sense of skinny dipping. I am uncovered. Maybe I'm vulnerable.
And can you speak into that? You mentioned that earlier. You said the wild spoke to you and said, come as you are, or that's how you feel in the wild, that it just holds us. It's a container. It doesn't care how we show up. It
No.
takes us however we are, whatever we look like, whatever we feel like. And can you just speak into that a little bit more?
To come as you are. Yeah, I would imagine this is like for all people. I always use the reference of the box. The box feels constricting, at least for me. I don't want to speak for other people. You need to stay in this box. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to act. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have kids. You're supposed to have a job. You're supposed to have a 9 to 5, blah, blah, blah. These are all the things you need to do in the box, right? You're not always allowed to come as you are. Maybe it's not safe to come as you are. But for me, I notice when I'm in the wild, it continues to break me out of that box of you can come as you are, come with your mess, come with your bad mood,
Mm,
come with your trauma.
mhm,
You're welcome here.
mhm. Come with your wrinkles, come with
Come
your
with your
rolls, come
wrinkles.
with your whatever.
Yeah, come with the negative belief that you have in yourself, because maybe if we sit with that, that will change, right?
Mhm.
She doesn't think that. I think about when I'm driving on 93, especially right now when it's this like weird in between of kind of brown and there's not a ton of snow. It's not quite spring, this like liminal space. I'm pretty sure the natural world, gosh, she's not, gosh, I look like so ugly right now. I'm so brown and dry.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for some of us, we may show up and be like, gosh, I should have taken better care of my skin this winter or blah, blah, blah. She's like, come in, let's have a seat.
Mhm.
It's not looking at that.
I just love that because the modern world, the world we live in, the box, as you call it, I think a few things are going on. And one of them is this idea of sameness. And it
Wow.
wants us to be the same all the time. And what you just said reminded me of this because of the brown and the condition it was. And we try to stay young and we try to do the same thing every day, every month, every season. The world wants us to show up the same 7 days a
Yes.
week for work, show up. Oh, it doesn't matter what's going on in the crazy world right now.
Yes.
You show up for work and keep operating.
Yes.
And I think nature has this incredible way of literally living the fact that we are not the same every day and that the brown, it doesn't question it. It
Oh,
doesn't question the different flowers that bloom at different seasons. It doesn't question the different things. It just is what it is in the truest sense. And what an amazing example.
an amazing example. She can teach us every day, right?
Mm, mhm.
Yeah, the sameness when you think about even the cycles of this season. She's like, oh, I should be blooming all summer in this vibrant wildflower green. She's like, no, I need to go rest.
Yes.
I need like, whew.
Right.
And I think for us as humans, we override that. We talk about it a lot in somatic therapy is the override of, oh, my body's really needing this or that or the other. But, oh, I really got to go towards this goal or go to work or go see this person, even when maybe your body's telling you to stay home and rest or go outside and lay in the grass. Like,
Mhm. Right.
yeah.
And even if we can't change everything dramatically by day, even just honoring, right? I feel like this today. I feel more internal today. I feel like I don't want to be as outward today. Or I feel really vibrant today.
Yeah.
And maybe it's connected to your sleep, or maybe it's connected to your hormones, or maybe who knows. But just acknowledging the differentness and the cycles
Yes.
and the flowing is so empowering, and I think it can grow starting small by just acknowledging the changes that we feel, and then we can better incorporate it into our lives, and for me, I have children, so I try to say it out loud,
Yeah. And naming it is powerful.
naming it exactly for myself and for other people's value of how I
Mm.
feel differently, how I wanna show up in the world that day. I love doing that little tune in, how I wanna show up that day.
Or even asking yourself, what do I need today? What do I need to share? What does my
Mm,
body need? What does my
mhm.
soul need? And
Right.
it's accepting that we don't always have to be the same is also really hard because there's also this conditioning like you're talking about in our world. Even with aging, right? Oh,
Mhm.
you are not supposed to get wrinkled.
Mhm.
You need to stay the maiden if we're like talking about a female archetype. You need to stay like the maiden forever. And
Right.
it's just not possible. And there's also this honoring of as we age and change and even having babies and all of this, our bodies are always changing.
Mhm. I know, and it's why I love using the seasons as a metaphor and
Yeah.
even the moons as a metaphor because I love in myself, and we talk about this a lot in some of the work that I do, being in a part of our life that feels more springy, meaning feels more full of hope and possibilities, and we're planning and we're more outward. or being in this season of more summer. Look out, world, here we come. We're vibrant.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But I love that analogy. Or am I full moon energy today or am I more new moon energy today? And reflecting it back to the seasons and nature shows us there's not one that's good or bad, even though our world likes us to be more summery and full moon energy.
Yeah.
There isn't a better season or phase
No.
in nature, right?
No. 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 Not at all. Not at all. How do we honor each season, right? We are not always the same, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. We live in a very good, bad, black, white culture. And I always like to use nature as a sort of like a mirror, and that is she's not black and white. There's also a lot of color. And how do we even incorporate that into our own inner work and even our wild self? When you think wild, we don't think black and white, at least I don't.
Mm.
When you think about our wilding parts, they're very carefree and whimsical, or even young and playful and vibrant and ever changing. And I think that's also important to remember.
It's almost like the kind of more masculine way of looking at things or the more
Yes.
feminine way of looking at things.
Yes. And how do you blend both, right?
Mm.
Like, how do you integrate both? And yeah,
Mhm. I know. It's really
I
wild.
know. I
And
feel like I need to take a breath.
I know, and just reflect. We just need to go walk outside for a
I
second
know. I
together
need to
and
like, we
go
need to get
walk
a
in the
skinny
dirt.
dip.
Exactly. What problem can't be solved or at least made better with a good old skinny dip?
Good old skinny
Maybe
dip.
not solved, but at least made better. We could have this whole conversation around monthly hormones or around
Mm.
midlife transitions. We could take it in so many different ways, but I do think it's interesting that we hear so much about midlife being a time of stepping into our power
Mhm.
and really owning growing older. And I love that idea. I'm fully behind it. But I think in the experience itself, it can feel unsettled. It can feel uncertain as we make the transition. Some women even feel grief,
Yeah.
what they're leaving behind. There's just a lot of unknown. And I'm just curious how you think the wild could be a teacher in these moments,
Mm.
or how could we use her?
Yeah, I think about our hormones and even our evolution of these rites of passages that in our society we don't always honor, like menstruation and going into perimenopause and menopause. It's very cyclical, right? And you think about that in nature, is that she also sort of mirrors that for us. How do we get in the rhythm rather than pushing against? And also, there's also sometimes grief in winter and the end of fall. Things are sort of dying, but then there's also this rebirth. And so I think about that as us as women and in our cycles of being in our feminine, is that how do we have the natural world also mirror us in that? Because it's also okay to feel all of those things. And it's also hard because we're also changing. But how do we anchor in that and also honor all of these parts? Because I don't think the natural world, when she drops her leaves, she's like, "Ah, it's over." Right.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes with aging women, sometimes there's this thought process of like, oh, it's done. I'm over. This is the end. And I don't know if you hear that a lot in your work, but oh, menopause is that I'm now like moving into the crone age. What is the crone age? And when you think about the crone, it's this old kind of shriveled woman. But really, why isn't she vibrant? And why isn't she wise? And like, why doesn't she look like the wise women from indigenous times and things like that, you know?
Mm. Right. I also think I'm just going to say it here, Nicole. I want to hear your opinion about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been working with this idea that, as far as what you're saying, since you brought it up, the maiden and the mother and the crone,
Mhm.
the three archetypes, I think there's a missing one. All of the seasons that I focus on, the moon cycles, the seasons of the year, they all have four.
Yes.
And I seriously, now that I've just hit menopause,
Mhm.
I am not worthy of being a crone yet. I have not lived enough. I don't have enough wisdom yet to call myself a crone. So I really think we're missing this fourth
Or
role. And I've heard someone else say it's the sovereign woman.
I've
And
heard this
I
too.
love that idea. And I just really think we need to make this a thing. that there is this next step. We are maiden, mother in our hormones, maybe not in our life choices.
Right.
And then we are sovereign woman. And then after we've accumulated enough life experiences, then we're the crone.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like I have a book that is, I think it's 365 Days of the Divine Feminine, but I believe that they have a fourth one in there, but don't quote me
Mm.
on that. But I agree because there's a big gap from that until
Right? Being a crone is my alter ego. I can't wait to be there, but I ain't there yet. I have a lot more accumulating wisdom to do first.
we have a lot more wildness to do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But so there's so many lessons there that you mentioned. What are some of the tangible things, you've already mentioned some of them, but that women can start doing now to honor the cycles and the seasons? And you mentioned a book that you have, there's things like that. In your therapy work, how do you recommend women start tapping into the wild?
That's such a great question. Well, first, I asked them to explore what the wild even means to them. A lot of times we use imagery and things like that, or even what sensations come up when they think about even tapping into the wild, that wild part of them, because it also can be scary. So they're like, oh, if I pull this string, do I become unhinged? Am I this like crazy person that they talk about? Oh, that woman, so she's too much, right? But
Mhm.
what does happen when you unlock that? And when they do, it is the best seat in the house to
Mm,
witness.
mm,
I always tell people in my work is I cannot wait until the world sees what I see in you. This
mm.
vivacious, wild advocate, just free, this big sense of freedom to be who you are. And I think that's what I experience when I go to the natural world is this like sense of freedom. But tangible ways is what does it feel like to date yourself?
Okay,
What does
explain
it
that.
get to know yourself?
Mm,
What do you like? What don't you like? What do you wanna wear? Why do you wear it when you go to that? What would you really like to wear? What
mm,
would you really like to wear to that function that might be a little edgy that actually taps into your wildness? Is it the slinky black dress that everyone told you that you shouldn't wear, but maybe deep down you want to wear? Wildness, I tell people, is like, what is the risk or the edge that you wanna push against that everyone has told you maybe you shouldn't because you might need to stay in the box?
mm.
Oh, I announced that I like Taylor Swift, right? Amongst people that are like, "Oh, you like Taylor Swift?" Well, yeah, I like Taylor Swift. I dance to it, like, when I, like, clean my kitchen, right? So it's sort of tapping into the thing that might feel a little scary to actually show the world, right? And a lot of that is exploring.
Mhm. So something you could just think about when you're cooking
When you think
dinner
about when you're cooking dinner, it's,
or
like,
on a
very,
walk.
very simple. There's so many more things you can
Yeah.
do. If you were a season right now, what would you be if you were to tapping into your
Mm,
wildness? Some people describe it as, "Oh, I'm the spring runoff with the river that is completely unhinged and untamable."
mhm. And when you said that before about someone being worried about becoming unhinged and what might
Yeah.
happen, it made me think about some of the massive storms that would come through on river
Yes.
trips. And sometimes there would be a flood on side creeks, and it would totally reroute the river for a day until the water pushed it through. And I can tell you, the wild didn't care that it had fury, a moment of total just unleashing.
Yes.
And I really like that idea of using storms and
Yes.
weather, not just cycles and seasons, but also storms and weather.
Yes. Yes, and be unapologetic. It's sort of this when I think about the wildness in us, it's who are we if we didn't have to apologize for who we are?
Mhm,
The storm doesn't apologize that
mhm,
we're in the backcountry and we're getting tossed. She's just,
mhm,
"Oh, there's this is blowing through," and I think about it like when we think about wind even, if we're running against the wind or walking against the wind, "Oh, this is so hard," but if we actually turn around and have it at our back, it's actually a really powerful thing,
mhm,
and it can
mhm,
also push us towards who we wanna be and our purpose, and also taking action and advocating for others, and the wild can have a lot of energy, and I think when someone actually taps into that, like you and I have talked about, it's a powerful thing. And it can also do a lot of good because that's often where people go and they like, oh, I want to be a service to others, even a service to people or animals or whatever that can't speak for themselves.
Mhm.
But it's also serving so many things when you think about like a spring runoff. It's filling the rivers, it's helping the animals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I get very passionate talking.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just it resonates on so many levels. I think it's because what you said, it's all energy and we are just energy as a humans. We are animals. We are part of it. I mean, it was Einstein, right, that says we're all energy
Yes.
and it's really cool to be able to use that energy of nature to
Yeah.
look at our lives differently and
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, when the lid popped was when I was in nature doing a big adventure. Like, I don't want to be contained anymore.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? I'm
And
like, I
that
don't
right
want
there is probably why it feels so good because we
to
don't have to be contained in the wild.
know.
We can scream, we can yell, we can jump, we can swim, we can be strong, we can be dirty, we can have the wind playing with our hair. It just feels good. I love that. That really resonated. Mhm,
Yes, I love that.
mhm.
We don't want to be contained and controlled.
No. And if we have to play in the box for a while,
Yes,
okay, like I
yes,
have a job,
yes.
I
I
can
do.
play
I
in the
do want to
box.
honor that. Yes, we
But
still have to have structure.
yes, but I would like moments of shattering it and
Yes,
running wild. Even
hopefully
that
naked.
phrase is so cliche. Why? Because it feels freaking awesome.
It feels freaking
Uh,
awesome.
And it'd be cool if everyone just played with it and see what comes up.
Yes, I love
Okay.
that.
So, Nicole, I am curious. I always ask people, or I often ask people on these podcasts, what they would shout from a mountaintop. And for you, this is literal. What would you shout from a mountaintop about the wild?
Oh,
And what would you want women to know about the wild? You could probably shout for a week, but just what's one thing before we sign off?
I think for me, the wild just opened this sense of freedom that I'd never experienced in my life.
Mhm.
And that sense of freedom to just really be unapologetic for who I am. I had this deep sense of self that I can just come as I am, and there's freedom in that. And I don't feel judgment. It was just this sense of I actually really don't care.
Mhm.
It's like this beautiful sense of freedom to get to this place that which I will also honor. It takes a lot of work, right? And I'm not always great at it, but this is actually an invitation for maybe for you to be who you want to be.
Mhm.
So I would probably shout freedom. And I
Mhm.
also can't be controlled.
You have felt how it feels to be free and yourself and connected to who you are. And when you're in the wild, you can hear who that is. So then you can take that back to your box. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong,
Yes.
and own who you are and feel rooted in that.
Yes.
Like,
Now that we're talking at the end, it's this I feel and continue to feel just so seen and heard and understood by her,
mm,
by the natural world. And I sometimes get a little emotional talking about it, but there's not very many spaces that we can show up where we feel that. And
mm,
I hope that people do find that in their relationships. But to truly feel understood and seen and heard is, I think, what we all crave as humans.
yep. I think I'm just going to read back to your words. I've
Yeah.
written them down.
Yeah.
So before we sign off, I want to repeat what you said, which is it's a safe space. You feel relief. You can come as you are, total freedom, seen, heard, and held. I mean, come on. What
Come on.
that is some medicine right there.
That is some medicine, my
Yeah.
friend.
Thank you,
Thank
Nicole,
you,
for
Janel.
sharing
Thank
your
you. That was
wisdom and
fun.
insights about the wild. I
Oh,
appreciate it. And I want to come on one of your retreats. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you if they're interested in your work?
my website and my business is wildingtherapy.com. So you're welcome to come there. And we are simmering on some offerings this summer with a retreat called This Is My Second Rodeo. So it's for people, some women that have been through some shit but are ready to come back and do it again. Um,
Nice.
yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're working on right now.
That's really cool. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for all that
Thank
you are
you.
doing and the message, and find Nicole on Instagram. Yeah,
Thank
but thank
you.
you for
It's so
sharing
good to
and
be with
thanks.
you.
Yes, good to be with you.
Yeah.
Bye
And your
bye.
wildness.
Yes.
Bye.
Ow. Bye. That's it for this week. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and a review as that helps it reach more people. You can find me and the Empowered Midlife Method online at mountainrebalance.com. I help midlife women understand their body and feel and age their best. If that sounds like you, please join my community. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover here or an expert you want me to have on, let me know. Thanks for listening.